for whatever reason, I just keep recording bangers in my car. And after transcribing this one with AI for about 26 minutes, I ran into a situational joke that would come up throughout the recording a few more times that was just so funny that I'm gonna have to use the recording now. I'm sorry about the inferior audio quality for that, especially considering that I just got a new microphone and really want to show that off, but some of this stuff is just too funny for me to recreate for you without the original footage, so enjoy. But I will be back with commentary during the video, so don't worry. Hello Internet, I'm Jackie Fox, and actually this is going to be the most requested video that I've ever done for this channel. That's not an exceptionally high bar, to be honest, but this video has been requested by men and women and other alike. I've had trans people request this video, I've had cis people request this video, but I think more than anything, I've had women, specifically, like, the straighter they are, the more they want this video to happen. But this video isn't for straight women. I mean, it kind of is. Like, that's why they're requesting it. But really, I guess, it's for straight women. It's to the gentlemen out there, though. Guys, cis men, people who identify as a dude who also happen to have a penis. Those of you who were born with a penis or who have acquired one through surgery. Although, in my experience, the second group of those people don't tend to be a piece of shit in the same way that I'm going to describe in this video. And, look, there's going to be kind of the flavor of a roast here, cis men. If you have a weak, pussy-ass ego, well, actually, I shouldn't say pussy. If you have a testicular ego, you know, very sensitive, can't take a swift kick. I mean, you know, you shouldn't kick a vagina either, but they can have a baby. They're a lot tougher than your testes. So if you're a sensitive little scrotum, then maybe this video isn't the video for you. But, I mean, look, I'm going to be hitting the fucking gamut, alright? As a non-binary person, dating in my 20s and 30s, first, I feel like I have the fucking disclaimer every date with, I'm not a dude. I may not have, like, shaved super well for whatever picture is on my profile. I might not, like, be wearing a fucking thing around my neck to hide my Adam's apple. I haven't had, like, facial feminization surgery. I'm not on estrogen or any of that shit. But I'm not a dude. You know why I'm not a dude? Specifically, gentlemen? It's because you fucking burnt down my goddamn birth sex. What do I mean by that? It's like a bridge. There's a bridge between masculinity and women. There's a bridge between male and female in a very traditional sense. This is the bridge that all straight couples must meet on. And y'all fucking burn it down! Before I can get laid, I have to go through, well, I mean, I don't have to. Honestly, I could have some pretty bad, unsatisfying sex without doing this. But for me, best practice before getting laid over the last 5 years has been to, I mean, first of all, gentlemen, if you're taking notes, if you're one of the gentlemen that requested this video, good on you, by the way. You know where your weaknesses are, always be willing to ask for help, and really, honestly, the best piece of advice I could give you is ask her. Not me. Not me. I have practical advice that I'm willing to share with you, but the person that you really need to talk to is her. That's my first tip. Communication. Before you even start playing with them titties, I want you to ask her, like, what do you like? What are you into? What makes you come? Fucking period, point blank. What makes you come? Like, an answer that I get a lot. This is a very specific answer, but it starts with them saying clitoral stimulation, and then I can only really get off with my vibrator. I don't really think that I can come from oral sex, but I'm happy to let you try. And then about 3 minutes later, oh, fuck! Oh, shit! I didn't. Woo! 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 Whoever's driving behind me just thought I lost my goddamn mind, but like,
You know, even as the editor, I know how many times I'm going to double down on this idea that communication is key here, but I just, I feel like in this first part, I failed to communicate just how integrally important it is, just how fundamentally important this is. Because if you do not communicate, then you are two people coming into an experience defined by a single word, three letters that mean so many more, so have so many connections and associations and all of that. And for most people, like trauma associations and all sorts of other things, like it has become important to have a very long conversation about this, I think, with new sexual partners, just to get on the right foot. Because I've had so many people that when I just assume that this is what I should do, or even things that have worked well with other people in the past in other contexts, not everyone is the same. So it's always better, even if you think you have a good footing on what you should be doing, to ask, like, because even simple things could have been forced on someone in the past, and because of that they can't enjoy that experience anymore. And maybe they don't feel super comfortable telling you that right off the bat, but maybe you put them in that situation, they freak out, and all of a sudden you're having a fight and you don't know why. And then you find out that there was some trauma, but you've already had the fight, the damage is done, there's resentment, and like, it's easier to just head all of that off by just saying, like, you know, in addition to, hey, what gets you off, what shouldn't I do, where are your boundaries, what are your limitations. And like, just the other thing is just consider pacing overall. Like, I'm going to give you some tips for what to do before you do all that porno shit that you've been seeing that might make it like reasonable. But I mean, I really have to go back to Jack Black on this, because he's been trying to tell us this for decades. I mean, just look at these song lyrics. This man is ahead of his time. What a hero.
I know my pussy can do that. That's not penetration, gentlemen. One of the wisest things I ever saw from a person with a distinctively small penis. I'm not going to get any further into that story. You don't need to know the context for that. Man was standing in front of me. Cold. A little cold. That wasn't his excuse. He didn't make an excuse for himself. He said, I may not have the biggest dick, but I eat pussy real well. And I get second dates. I fucking love that guy. I hope he's married. I hope he is a happy fucking man. Words to live by, gentlemen. But like, how have you conditioned like every other woman in the world to believe that sexual satisfaction is impossible for them? Like, I know it is a really complicated thing to unpack. And on the other side of this, okay, you can listen to all the advice. We're going to get graphic in this video, by the way. I'm going to give you some details. Although, again, you should probably get the details from your lady. I can point you in the right direction. You can try the things that I recommend, but you should probably ask, like, hey, I just did 3 or 4 things down there. Which ones did you like? Or you're just like, listen. If she's not faking it, you get good feedback that way. Don't be afraid to listen. It's always good. That's not even good bedroom advice. That's just good interpersonal advice. Listen. God, so many of the problems that I have to acknowledge and work through and shit before sex, just like, alright, let's air all of the sexual launch. Let's get all of that shit out of there. I want you to feel completely comfortable. I don't want you to be afraid I'm going to do a thing or something's going to happen. Nah. Also, let your girl suck your dick. Like, don't do. Unless she asks you to, like, face fuck her specifically. I mean, you can run your fingers through it. I love to do that. Like, just kind of kneading like a cat. And my understanding is that that's pretty calming. And, like, I've had a couple girls tell me not to do it. It's like, that's too calming. I get very relaxed when people do that. I don't want to fall asleep during this. Like, good. I don't want you to fall asleep during this. We are on the same page in this. But don't be shoving that head down. Like, that is face fucking. That I don't care if you're thrusting or not. That is face fucking someone. And unless you have permission, that shit is not okay. But let me say another thing while we're on the subject of face fucking and shit like that, alright? Gentlemen, there is no reason you have to go that hard. I'm not saying this for her sake. I mean, I am saying this for her sake. You don't have to go that hard. If she tells you harder, go. Dude, go. You know? Again, don't take any of my advice over her. She knows her body, I don't. I just have experience, right? But from my own experience with my own body, you don't have to go that hard. Like, it might just be that, like, I'm all natural. That could be it. But I don't know. There's like it took me a long time to figure out what it was. But there were a bunch of women, or there were a number of women that just like sucked my fucking brain out. Just gone. Just brain dead. Although I gotta say, on average, as someone who don't discriminate across the board, on average, I'm not saying that there aren't outliers representing the females that are keep doing what you're doing, honey. On average, men suck dick better. I'm just saying, on average, men suck dick better. I don't know if it's a factor if they know what they're doing. I don't know what it is, but they know what they're doing. But there's a lot of women that are like really bad at it, but really enthusiastic. They're still bad at it, and they also think they're good at it. And the commonality for all of those women is they're just like, it's like there's a porno happening right above your crotch. You've got like all the fucking hardcore gagging sounds, and you're like hitting the back of the throat and all that shit. And it's just like, I'm not sure I'm enjoying this entirely. Like, I mean, it feels pretty good, but like, I don't think I'm gonna get there this way. This is too much. I would rather get like slower, more intimate, more targeted. You know, like you don't have to fuck with you don't have to put the whole thing in your mouth. That's what hands are for. Give it an assist. Give your mouth an assist. It's the way I would put that.
You know, it's really worth pointing out that kind of across the board, and this is one of the things that especially straight women have said to me the most about, you know, just about their complaints about other men, is that for the large part, we have kind of had our brains hacked and rewired, and our pleasures rewired, and our sensibilities rewired by porn. In the same way that our sensibilities about what is attractive comes from Photoshop models that don't even look like that in real life, in the pages of magazines, evolving into women with oftentimes fake bodies, or women who are being selected out of millions for the most shapely of bodies, or vaginal bleaching. I'll get to it eventually. These kinds of things are put forward and normalized through that, but also many sexual behaviors are put forward because they fulfill a fantasy or because they are aesthetic in a way. And I'm sure you've tried a bunch of, I mean, I hope you've tried several positions that maybe you saw in porn, and maybe have realized that one or two of those, yeah, that was for show. There is no real practical way that human beings are enjoying this. That's just a thing that looks cool on a video. But I think in terms of technique, a lot of the things that seem to be standard, seem to come expected, seem to form the background of our expectations of what an experience will be like, especially when we aren't communicating with one another. Because if we aren't communicating with one another, we will probably be more likely to pull ourselves back to a cultural norm or standard. And because we don't talk about sex and porn more broadly, the only real standardized version of sex that we have available to us is pornography. And that is, well, that's the damage of censorship in a lot of ways, but it's also the failure of imagination and the crippling, creeping power of capitalism all in one. And this is not only a disservice to women, but it's a disservice to you, men, as well, because for at least a significant portion of you, this just isn't how you were meant to get off either. There is a different experience waiting for you that you would perhaps enjoy more, but you are putting yourself up to this high bar of performance that you've seen in videos. What's probably even worse is that you are not only judging her by that, not only are you dictating your own performance by that, you're judging yourself by that. And look, those men were selected for every way the women were. If you don't stand up to a man who literally does nothing but fuck for a living, I get that. That's fine. That's normal. She's not really expecting that. And there's a lot of ways that you could give her a better experience than she's genuinely expecting from you. Because believe me, a lot of her sexual history wasn't necessarily like fucking porn level sex. You know what I mean? A lot of it often seems to be kind of disappointing. So I guess my point is, don't be too hard on yourself. Don't be too hard on her. Don't go too hard in general, and just, I don't know, find a way to make everyone in the situation happy. Don't judge yourself by a false standard, and enjoy what you can do and do it well. Take pride in that and communicate. Again, I'm just going to keep bringing that up throughout the video. Okay, Editor Jackie back again to remind you that tempo and pacing is important. And as an editor, you kind of have to learn this, but as a sexually active adult, you should also probably learn this as well. And also realize that some of the things that you might see people enjoying in a particular porn video that's been edited down to 10 minutes probably aren't things you should be doing 10 minutes into a sexual encounter. And be aware that there's a lot that is happening off camera, first of all, to get everyone ready for the scene. And there's a lot of things that are happening throughout the scene that are being edited out for time. So if you're trying to pace a sexual encounter like a porn video that you've seen recently, trying to reenact that step for step, that is going to probably be a bad experience for, honestly, both parties involved. and you're going to be trying to live up to a completely unreasonable standard that you're going to fail to attain and then even feel bad about yourself. No one is going to feel good pleasure from this, and furthermore, everyone is going to probably walk away from the experience with a worse self-image and, like, I don't know, less enthusiasm to have sex again. Maybe a little bit of bitterness for failing to live up to an expectation that you have been taught to think is reasonable. And a lot of this goes into body standards as well. I think that we don't like to admit how much we are social animals and how much the thing that keeps us from dating someone who is not aesthetically perfect or befitting of kind of just physical adoration, you know, not a trophy wife or whatever, because we are afraid that other people will judge us and say, ooh, that's who they, oh, wow. I didn't expect that. Oh, really? What were they thinking? You know, we think people are going to make these types of judgments about us, and they may, but fuck them. You're having a good time and you have a strong and solid relationship, and honestly, I think that counts more than anything. So anything that gets in the way of that is just a false narrative that is driving you from future happiness, and is also making other people in the world unhappy as well, as you nihilistically burn through all the women in your area seeking some sort of connection or experience that doesn't exist and was completely fake to begin with. So, you know, there's a real danger of us all doing that without even realizing it. And I think it's a lot bigger of a danger than we tend to talk about. But the other thing is, you know, just that we don't talk about these types of things. And therefore, the narratives, the understandings that we get come from places that are not real. These are not realistic. And we need to re-gauge our expectations based along realistic lines. And there are far too few people doing this work in the public.
Also, shit, if there are any ladies watching, if you wanna increase the tightness as you go up, as you stroke it, it's like the opposite of milking a cow. works pretty well on humans too. Not as much rolling of the thumb across the fingers as with a cow, but and there's some similarities there. Also, for the bi, pan, omni, whatever gentlemen's out there who are watching this, if you do happen to be within that group that I mentioned earlier of guys that are really good at sucking dick, because they all are, even trans women are fucking good at sucking dick. Like, anybody who had to grow up with a penis is good at sucking dick, on general. But, like, ladies, you don't have to do all that. Gentlemen, you don't have to force her to do all that. Like, let her do what's comfortable for her and nudge that, not physically nudge that, but use your words, communicate, tell her which parts of what she enjoys doing you enjoy, work her more that way through positive reinforcement, and all of a sudden, she's blowing your fucking mind. And you're like, wait, I didn't think I could come like this. I thought my dick had to be like sore and kind of angry at me and maybe a little torn and maybe for some of you gentlemen out there, a little bloody. Not because she's on her period, but just, it's not, I'm not saying it's a fragile piece of equipment. It's pretty hard. Jesus fucking Christ. The subject matter of this video, I love it. I love how I could be, this is the fucking thing though. This is the other thing. Men in general, I can't be this for you, but men in general, we need to be more frank about this, right? Because I swear to God, I was going at it hard in every respect my whole life. I was the head pusher. I was all of that shit for a good while. And I just thought that I wasn't good at coming, which felt weird, right? Because like all of the stereotypes was like just dicks just be coming, you know. Like, it's simple. Just stroke it a little bit. It'll go off for you. Shit, they'll even go off in your pants sometimes. You don't even have to touch it. You can just look at it right, and it'll all over the place. And like, I had some shame about that. I also had some pride about that too, because I wasn't a two-pump chump. At least I wasn't that. But even if you are, just eat some pussy, bug. Eat pussy. Because, well, I mean, like, again, I can't tell you how your physiology works. This might not be how it goes for you. But, like, refractory periods are a thing. And, you know, I feel like you get that first one out. What I'm saying is, come, eat pussy for like a good 10 minutes to the point where, like, to the point where your chin is actively wet. Not from your saliva, just from like rubbing up against the vagina. Like, face on the clit, rubbing up against the vagina with your. When your chin is wet, that is when it's time for penetration. Gentlemen, if you need a rule of thumb, it's more of a rule of chin, but you need a rule of thumb for that. When your chin is wet, it's okay to hit it. How about that? God damn. But see, like, here's the fucked up thing is, and I think a lot of guys do this, right? We all think, oh, this shit's all so obvious. Like, how do you not know that? But because of that culture of being assumed to know everything and assuming that you know everything, you aren't asking questions. You aren't having conversation with your mates about this shit. Like, when guys talk shop, they talk about the girl. They don't talk about their own performance necessarily. Or if they do, it's like a fish story. It was this long, I swear. She couldn't believe it. I could see it in a rib cage. Sure, buddy. Oh my god. I love this video so much. I never want to stop making this video. Can I just keep doing this forever?
But also, I gotta say, man, YouTube audiences have a short attention spans. I'm gonna have to cut this video short here, but be known that there is more to come, and there is a lot more to this that I have to say, and we're gonna hit a lot more specific things. So if you want specific sex tips, advice to optimize your experience, to have more fun, to get more second dates, or, I mean, honestly, might not even want to fuck on the first date. I'm just saying, like, maybe you want to feel out the person a little bit more instead of jumping awkwardly into a sexual encounter that maybe the two of you are not adequately prepared for, because actually having the conversation about sex on the first date could be kind of awkward, can't it? So, you know, maybe that extra date after the first hookup, if you aren't getting that now, well, I got some tips to help you stay in the running after your first performance. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one.